We in here. Welcome back, man. I know it's been a while. A lot of issues going on, but about to get back consistent with it every day. Welcome to No Cap. You can see we are live. Back to getting it, but football has started. That means sports gambling has started. School has started. Also means attention spans are at all-time low. People are being pulled in every different direction, moving just to be moving. It also means like mental health is getting crazy. Like people are being so distracted right now that you're moving at 100 miles and running, and until you no longer going down the hill, you get to a flat surface, so you start going back uphill again. You realize that you out of gas. People been running on fumes and they don't feel it, don't see it, don't sense it. Just I'm moving. I got dopamine coming from this direction, from constant TikToks and Instagram reels and Snapchat messages that come and go on sports betting, looking on vacations, looking up vacations, cruises, holidays. There's so much stimuli going on that folk not really doing the self check for sure, not doing the self check. And folks need that more than ever because the cry all of 2025 has just been mental health. How's your mental health? Like, what's your mental health look like? And conversation is real uncomfortable because it's not a conversation that you teach kids to have growing up. So as adults, they don't really know how to have the conversation right. So when you ask somebody about their mental health, it's like small talk to somebody who have a small talk is just good. I not sure. Cool, I guess. Just run of the mill answers like that. But it's tough to even approach the conversation unless you very cultured in having conversations about mental health and things of that nature. But before I even jump into that and jump into the whole purpose of the day, I'm gonna start using that whiteboard more creatively, right? So I wanted to do it sports wise, just to be able to give lists because when it comes to sports and having conversations about sports or conversations about this versus that or any kind of list, it's easy to see it and to just show that it is to just talk about it. And I could do the graphic thing, but the graphic thing feels real impersonal. Once you get the graphic, it's pretty much over. You can't really edit it, can't change it up. It's just once you put together pre-show, it is what it is. And I'd rather have something that I can turn around, have a conversation about, and change my mind, be like, you know what? Nah. And then adjust as I need on the fly. And I'm gonna start using it for more than just those lists though. Every show I'm either gonna give a quote, a random fact, or a fact that's pertinent to whatever I'm talking about that day. And this was the original idea for the podcast for me because anybody that knew me, I used to get on Facebook and whatever message I woke up with that day, I'm gonna type it out, I'm gonna post it that way I can look back through it and then be able to pretty much teach myself through foresight. So instead of learning a lesson at the end of a struggle, I'd rather put some wisdom out there and then look back at it like, damn, at some point I knew I was gonna need this kind of situation. And doing a podcast, which is replacing me really using social media because not really interacting with folk on there, not too much. Got to get off of there because really a lot more toxic than it's ever been. It's only getting worse. But I think this will be an important tool. I gotta get the spacing and everything together, and then get the audio and video a little bit sharper. But baby steps again, baby steps, one thing at a time. Because once we start showing the improvements, then be able to adapt and improve the show as need be. But for this one, instead of throwing out some wise saying or some kind of ism, I wanted to put something that was pertinent to what I was going to talk about. And the whole idea behind "is you cool" is majority of the time I heard it being asked, it's more so like sarcastically, "Is you cool?" Like you just did something that was inappropriate, it's out of pocket for the situation. But I'm asking it genuinely, like, are you all right? Like, are you okay? Not, are you okay socially and giving me the appropriate answer. More so, sit down, think about where you at in life, think about your thought process, think about your goals, your comfort level, your quality of life, and how would you assess where you are right now compared to where you could be or where you would like to be. That kind of is you cool. And it's real important to ask, especially because I've always been into sociology and psychology, and those two things are the biggest determining factors of what society's gonna do, what direction we heading in, things of that nature. And it's been real apparent that as we become a more feminist society, a lot of men are starting to like off themselves a lot more. And saying it so boldly and so bluntly kind of takes out a lot of the context, but that's the truth. As we become more feminine and things move farther in one direction, masculinity is dying, and then people who are uncomfortable with the new landscape, when they can't find an escape, they are literally making an escape, and the craziest thing ever. And I want to say it that way just because when you look into learning and wanting to learn about situations like this, suicide being crazy rampant, way more active than it ever has been. And nobody's really asking why. It's more so, damn, they died. Oh, damn, somebody else died. And folks, society, communities are disconnected from the situations until it happens to somebody you know. But by the time it happens to somebody you know, you're so struck with grief or so stricken with grief, folk not thinking about what all went into the decision. It's more so, damn, I wish, I wish, or more so trying to talk themselves through the situation instead of assessing how we got here, which is the unfortunate part of grief where I just wish I could fix things after the fact instead of figuring out what it is that I couldn't get to beforehand. And a lot of that is tricky because you can't really assess someone's state of mind once they're gone. So you can get your perspective on things, but you can never truly understand all the details of the important factors. But to go back to the list behind me, that social structure thing is real important because as we got rid of gender roles, the unintended consequences are if anybody can do anything, then who's doing what? And when you have that lack of foundational understanding, you end up in situations where it seems fun to be able to have the freedom to do whatever, but then us being social animals, we can't all just be doing everything all the time because then nobody's doing anything. We're unproductive. We have to work together to move in the right direction. And let's take for educational purposes. Let's say your teacher could also be your principal, could also be the cafeteria lady, could also be the bus driver, could also teach online, could also be a parent to one of the children. If every day this person wake up and just go as they please, there's no structure. You don't know who's doing what, when, or where. And there's that confusion. And it's the same thing in relationships. You, let's say you want a woman that cooks and cleans, but also makes money, but also is independent, doesn't need anything, but also is nurturing and wants a family. There's so many different directions to head in that you end up just spinning in circles instead of actually moving anywhere. And again, the unintended consequence of what's been going on in our society is there are no checks and balances. It's just, hey, we just trying ish and seeing what sticks. And so far, the results have been more catastrophic than foreseen because we have a lot more women in the workforce, which is positive. We have different perspectives being given. We have a broader amount of people in the workplace professionally that can give different insights and are more in touch with goals that are being set. But at the same time, we also have an imbalance of structure of who's expected to do what. Like, it isn't men do this, women do that, even though it should be, because we're not created to all be doing the same thing. We're not created equal. What you're good at is not going to be what I'm good at. It's not going to be what she's good at or what her. None of us are going to have the same values, the strengths, weaknesses. We should be looking at each other as individuals so you can determine who's best to do what, but it's not about strength and weaknesses anymore. It's more so about have the right to try, whether I'm good or not. And yeah, the next thing after that, outside of social structure, with especially in America, us becoming more feminine, you got social integration, which is folks want to be accepted. And said this on a previous episode, this is the most pessimistic, unhappy society that we've had in America probably ever, where nobody feels things are good, nobody feels things are heading in the right direction, and nobody has any insight on how do we correct this. So, with it feeling chaotic as a whole, that means individual people are looking at it going, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the masses are thinking. I don't know what the people around me are thinking. So I don't know where I fit in with this. And again, humans, we are animals. And as social animals, being accepted is important. It goes back to the three things, right? Being born, reproducing, and dying. Those are what we're here for. But in the meantime, as we go about what we're put here for, being validated and feeling accepted are like the hugest determining factors for the process of your life. Who validates you, what you're accepted for, those two things determine what direction your life goes in, what your interests are, what you spend majority of your time doing, who you hanging around, all of those things. Majority of your life is determined by who validates you and what you are being validated for. And we're in a culture where nobody truly feels validated because nobody truly feels like themselves, which is why the description of this episode is the way it is, because social media is playing such a huge factor where nothing on that nothing on Instagram is real. Majority of TikTok isn't real. It's only showing one side. Snapchat, Facebook, all of it is pretty much X, pretty much the same, where you only getting a sliver of perspective of what reality looks like, because social media wasn't created to replace reality. It was only supposed to be a representation of a piece of it. But folks are living their entire lives through this keyhole in the door the door is life. Social media is just like the keyhole of it. People are living their lives just through there instead of opening the door, walking through it. And with that, whatever you see, you're gonna mimic. I see that this is getting attention, so I'm gonna participate in it. I see that who I'm interested in is interested in this, so I'm gonna throw myself in there. Not because I'm interested in actually doing it, but because it goes back to I want to be validated. And now instead of aspiring for validation and validation for doing what you choose, folks are doing whatever for the validation. I'll do whatever for it. The attention means everything. I'll sacrifice my entire personality, my thought processes, my morals, everything for this validation, even if it's disingenuous or not authentic, because again, it's not reality. It's just social media. But folks are, I don't even want to say limiting because it's a lot more extensive than that. They're completely like flatlining the rest of their lives and oversimplifying their livelihoods to a small percentage of reality for this perceived validation from social media. So I will cut out 99% of my life to be this 1% of what I could be just for the validation that comes from people that I'll probably never meet. And the validation, which comes in forms of retweets, comments, likes, shares, all of these things that are used as validation online, it's not the same as somebody walking up to you saying, you did a good job or I'm proud of you. But folks are online, so I'm gonna do whatever I can to get what's available where everybody is at. But when you're doing all that sacrificing, the real you is somewhere dying, and that's that mental health. The real you is in there. You abandon that just for this facade of an individual that's online, and the mental health part of it, the shadow work that needs to be done. You abandon it for so long, so after a while, by the time you think to come back to it, it's gonna show itself and it's gonna manifest whether you want it to or not. Got to get back to being real, right? Because question is you cool goes back to, bro, if you can't be you, if you can't be comfortable being you, you'll never be happy. You'll never be peaceful. Your mental health will always be in a poor state. And then you'll never get the chance to question why, because it's just gonna manifest itself as, man, this is so unbearable. You chasing something you're not supposed to chase. And the last thing I put on the board being religion, right? Because it's one of those factors that pretty much groups and controls a group of people. So you grow up in a certain religion, people expect you to behave a certain way, or they expect you to have certain rules for yourself. And if you don't respect that, then the larger group doesn't respect you. And that goes back to the social integration where this is my community. Unless I behave according to these laws of my community, I won't be accepted by my community. And it's simple as that. And there are different subcategories that control communities like that. Religious is being the most popular one, but it could be things like hobby groups where all you do is you're a runner. That's all you do. You just run. Everything that you do in your life is catered around running. Running track, coaching track, running in groups socially. And if same thing happens in these groups, have the same impact. Religion is just the most socially acceptable, I want to say, avenue for folks to openly throw themselves into and let it pretty much determine the outcome of their life. And it's tough because the thing about religion is it's pretty much cut and dry. It's not open to interpretation. It is what it is. This is what we think. This is how we act. And anything that's not by the book with that, not for us. And the last thing was important for me to put on here because even though it might be applicable in a small percentage that happens, for majority of us, it isn't the case. And for majority of people who suicide impacts, that's not the case. Individual circumstances. Majority of the time, like when somebody commits suicide, the people around them assume that there was something personal going on that led to this, where it was something inside of them where they just couldn't take it anymore. It was this small thing or these few things that were happening to them that put them in the circumstances where they felt like that was the best out. And there's research that shows that it's not the case. Somebody's specific situation rarely leads them to commit suicide. I got a whole bunch of kids. I got a low paying job and afford to keep trying to pay child support for all of these kids. I can't feed myself. I can't clothe myself. I can't improve my quality of life. Nobody is helping me or a support system. Lost my job. Now I'm homeless. All of these things can pile up. And they still would rarely, very rarely lead to suicide if somebody has a sense of self and they aren't suffering from one of the other categories, right? So if the social structure is such that I'm able to determine what my next move is, or even if I have a poor support system, I have a group that I can get in contact with and communicate with who are going through similar things, where even though they can't provide support financially, we can have a conversation in which I can feel like this is the world's not just coming down on me, but this is a process that happens to people in a certain situation, right? Or even though all this is happening to me, I can still leave it all up to God and go to church and feel all right. When folks don't feel abandoned by the other three, their individual circumstances don't tend to lead them in that direction. And I wanted to talk about that first. Wanted to make that the main part of the first part of the podcast, right? Because once you start looking at it through that lens, for those who have already lost somebody to suicide, or for people who it could happen to, if you understand those things, then it's easier to maneuver and it's easier to go about socializing with people and being a part of somebody else's support system if you understand that it's not just them. It isn't a them problem. It's not individual circumstances. It's whatever group they feel a part of, not accepting them, being able to integrate with society, being able to maneuver around and be able to be seen as an individual, or a social structure where society is moving in one direction and I don't feel like I'm being left behind. So helping people find their place as things go and as things adjust and evolve. If you can come to terms with these things and accept them and understand them, then it's easier for you to be a part of somebody else's support system and be able to communicate the same ideas and the same understanding to them, or try to help them get an understanding for themselves. And to get back to the purpose for the show, is you cool, right? So it goes back to another episode previously where I told you I'm gonna speak macro as general as possible, and then start whittling it down slowly but surely and get more detailed as we go along, right? Are you a part of somebody's support system? How many people's support system are you a part of? Because it costs nothing to be a part of as many support systems as you want. Whether it's just giving a compliment, being good energy, good vibe, just being a familiar face or a friendly face. All of these things can make you a part of somebody's support system, unbeknownst to you or not. And when you start making yourself available to be a part of somebody else's support system, goes a long way, not just for their state of being and their mental health, but for yours as well. Because when you can be counted on, be validated. Like validation comes in so many different forms, and from the smallest, just being, hey man, this brother, I see him in the gym all the time. He's gonna do upper body whenever I'm in there. I expect him to be in there. Just being a familiar face that way, or romantic relationships where this is my wife, settled down, had kids together. Whatever I go through, she's gonna help me, and whatever she goes through, I'm there right for her. When you have varying levels of support that you can give and different levels of validation that are available, it doesn't hurt anybody to just try to be supportive to as many people as possible. We all need the validation. We all want the validation, want to be accepted. And it's as simple as that. And when you're a part of somebody's support system, it doesn't have to be at your expense either, where you don't have to feel like you losing a part of yourself and sacrifice it to other people. It's really as simple as just being the best version of you, and it's gonna be infectious. Monkey see, monkey do. If you're the best version of yourself, it's gonna influence as many people as you're around to be the best versions of themselves. And on the other side, right, you don't have to be a part of somebody's support system just for you to feel validated. Where there's a lot of folks who they thrive off needing to be needed. That's where things get a little sketchy, right? Because you should never be too invested to the fact where you getting some kind of over satisfaction, like overindulgent satisfaction from people relying on you. You should be doing it out of the goodness of your heart instead of, yeah, it's mandatory and I'm gonna do it because I need to do it. I need to feel it. The thing about positivity and being such a good influence is at the end of the day, it's voluntary. Same way people choose to be pessimistic, they can choose to be optimistic. Same way you choose to be negative, you can be positive. Same way people can have a good influence on you, they can have a positively negative influence on you. They could be the worst person you ever met or the best person you ever met. And the fact that there's a decision that can be made, not mandatory, that's what makes somebody choosing to be there, choosing to be positive. That's what makes it better. The fact that somebody's going out of their way to want better for you and to show that they want better for themselves is what makes all the difference, right? And really, that's what the validation is. It's not the fact that you doing this because you feel like you have to do it and it's a job, it's tedious work. But more so, you're happy to do it, you choosing to do it, and you want others to do the same, right? The real crazy part about mental health that most people don't too much consider. And I'm not sure if there's studies behind it or not. I've just worked in the mental health field long enough, and through the trials and tribulations that I've gone through in life and experiences that I've had, your mental health is completely malleable. That means is the same way you in a dark space, or you in a negative space, or you feel depressed, or you have some kind of mental deformities going on, or some kind of cloudiness going on psychologically. All of that, the same way it can be learned, it can be unlearned. You can wake up one day and just be unhappy, and that could be just the rest of your life. On the flip side, you could also wake up one day and just be happy with no excuse why. Just, hey, I chose to be happy. I'm only surrounding myself with happiness. I'm doing happy shit. And that's low key slept. I'm not even gonna say low key. That's slept on. It seems such common sense. It seems so obvious that nobody speaks on it. The same way you feel bad, or the same way that you feel like you suffering in a situation. It's not really the glass half empty, glass half full conversation, but it is more so you can just enjoy this bitch instead of not. There's so many ways to move toward happiness and just be happy and focus on happiness. And then that'll determine your life, that you chose to be happy and you chased it. Compared to, I chose to be unhappy, and instead of chasing happiness, I just complained and thought about how I was unhappy. Because the crazy part about the human brain is it's lazy. If you teach yourself to be unhappy, the brain is going to learn it, it's going to adapt it, and it's going to take the shortcut to unhappiness because that's what you taught it. You choose to be happy, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to learn the process in which you become happy, and it's going to take a shortcut to get you there. All behaviors that are learned can be unlearned, and it doesn't have to be difficult either. You simply can just choose to wake up and be like, bet this is the move. I'm jumping head first off the porch. This is what I'm doing. And when you do that, the answer to the question becomes real obvious, because you'll start to influence people one way or the other, right? But just my 2 cents. See you tomorrow, man.
J-Lo did it. Yeah.